Bienvenue à toutes et tous.
Welcome to everybody for an interview with the crew from the film At War, directed by Stéphane Brizé. He's back in Cannes. Thank you for being with us here today. And you have brought Vincent Lindon to the studio with you. Delighted to see you back in Cannes. Here you are at war and you're angry, both of you. No, I'm not. I'm not angry. It's the employees on the screen in the film who are angry, and legitimately so. I'm rather soothed now. Are you soothed to be here in Cannes?
Né en colère, mais apaisé d'être à Cannes.
But I'm angry all the same. That's what you said to me earlier on when the film was being screened. Here you are in Cannes. I think something has changed. Is it not the screening, the official screening, which has calmed you and soothed you? Let's take a look at the reaction of the audience. At the end of the film, after the screening, everybody got to their feet and applauded you with great warmth and at great length. Did that feel good?
Ça fait du bien. Alors filmer de dos, ça fait moins du
when
bien
you film me from behind, I'm rather disappointed to see that I'm losing my hair. So I don't feel too good about that.
Non mais
on se rend compte de beaucoup de choses.
Yes, well, you learn a lot from the screen.
C'est extraordinaire, c'est des moments
Yes, it's
incroyables.
fabulous, absolutely a magic moment. Sharing that with Vincent and all of the actors in the film, the production, the distribution teams, it really was wonderful. It was really touching and moving to see that. Well, I don't like seeing myself filmed with a frontal view. I'm not very handsome there, but you are handsome and you look very radiant, and you, Vincent, have won the Best Actors prize in the past. Do you feel the same level of stress? Do you still have the same level of relief at the end? No, the stress gets worse every time. Everything in my job gets worse and worse, or better and better, depending how you look at it, but I'm more scared than ever before I go on set. I'm always worried. I don't want to rest on my laurels at all. I'm always more and more worried about what's going to happen to the film. I was more intimidated yesterday on the red carpet than ever I had been in the past, and I was really worried at the end of the screening. And I really just didn't enjoy yesterday as a day. I didn't take a step far enough back to be able to enjoy the wonderful day of those 18 minutes of applause. I just didn't get it right. I really wasn't, in my right state of mind. I was so stressed out. I had red blotches on my face. I had tummy ache, and I just didn't do it right last night. It was awful, and I wondered, why did I not just enjoy the moment? And so I'm trying to catch up with myself now. I know that that experience happened, but I'm just trying to catch up with it. And it's getting worse and worse as time goes on. And I'm more aware of the job I do, the passion I have to put in it, and I'm more and more aware of how fortunate I am to work with Stéphane, for example. Yes, I have to put up with that every day when we're on set. Well, thank heavens I've got people around me who help me. I'm playing the role of a leader. There's Daniel Cohn-Bendit who's watching me as we speak. We were celebrating the 50th anniversary of May 1968 here in France. Come on into the screen, Daniel Cohn-Bendit. Did you see the film last night? No, I didn't, sadly. I just arrived yesterday, and because, I will see the film very, very quickly. Yes, he plays a wonderful union representative. Shall we talk about what we used to do in the past? There's plenty to be said on that score. Yes, he recently talked with President Macron, which gives him a whole line of talk there. So there's plenty of things to talk about. Thank you very much, Daniel Cohn-Bendit, for coming to say hello. Danny the Red, as you used to be called back in May '68 here in France. And we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of that. And Robin Goupil is also there. Everyone's greeting one another. The two guys who have just burst onto the stage are here to present a documentary, which is called On the Road in France, to celebrate the May '68. So, do you feel that your film has a strong message to to convey? Is that your responsibility as a filmmaker? Well, in terms of what's going on in the world today, and well, this anger has been bubbling to the surface for a long, long time now. There's a lot of suffering there, and anger is an expression of suffering. And above and beyond the anger, there is violence which is expressed, and it is expressing some kind of suffering. That's what the film tries to convey. And you want to go beyond the TV images, because on the TV we see the violence and it's very shocking. But you want to explain what goes on behind the screen, behind the scenes. Yes, the violent scenes we see on television are spectacular, but they never really explain what happened before, because the violence builds up at meetings which aren't very spectacular on the screen. And so it's the movie's role to step in and create the drama to express what goes on before those spectacular images that we see on the television. Because the media are never present upstream, without down there, downstream, once we see these employees who've been suffering for months and eventually commit some violent act. So let's think of Air France, for example. There have been some social unrest there. The employees are no longer heard because of the brutality of those images of the shirt being ripped off the manager's back. So that drowns out the voice of the workers. So in a film, you can take the time to shed light on what happened before those dramatic images. This experience was absolutely thrilling on every level. You talk about these social dramas, and your film is at the source of many other films which we have seen. In Cannes, for example, there are films recounting social dramas. The source of these dramas, the couples that are divorcing, the children who aren't in education anymore, the sources of these dramas are often economic, because a region has lost all of its jobs, for example, and people no longer have the opportunity to work and earn a living. Yes, we also have to explain why we're stopping people from working a living. They had jobs, and then all of a sudden, these companies that were profitable closed down. Those profits that the companies were earning were perhaps just not enough for the powers that be. And so the people who are working get less and less revenue. So what do we do for and with these people when they lose their jobs, when capitalism leaves? What do we do with the men and the women who had helped generate wealth for those companies? It's indecent. This is a type of revolt that your character has, a vision of the world that Stéphane Brizé has. So how do you talk with your film director? Do you exchange your points of view when you're portraying such a character as an actor? No, you don't necessarily have to accept the point of view of the film that you're making, but in a film like this, you have to agree with that point of view. It's not enough, though. In this particular case, neither Stéphane nor myself are the only ones who have these feelings. These feelings of humaneness, generosity. You could try and find as many words as you like. When you go out onto the street, you ask people if they're against people who are suffering, then of course everyone's going to say, yes, they're against people suffering. I'm far from a hero. No one's going to say, yes, I'm glad that people are suffering. Yes, they have to suffer. So no, I am not a hero to play a role like this. Obviously, naturally, I want to play that role, put that hat on, but there's the content, and then there's also the form, the way that we portray that. And one can use different aspects. When I've spoken to my colleagues, they say, when are you going to play a role like you play in real life when you get really annoyed? So, Stéphane did a transfer of energy, if you like, the energy from my life, the way that I always want to argue and put my point forward, the way I want to bring people together, to federate people, to organize things, and to get involved in everything. Sometimes get involved in things which I have no business being involved in, and he wanted to capture that and put it on the screen, put it into a character who would lead the others. So it was really pleasant for me, it was a thrill for me, but it was hard to fulfill, because when you're an actor, you put your costume on and you're hiding something of your own self. Actors and actresses can believe they're very uninhibited. Does this mean that you gave more of yourself? No, what I'm saying, I'm trying to hide something of myself when I'm an actor, but Stéphane came and he brought that out of me. So there you go. I've had my therapy. Well, let's hope the therapy is not open. So in your film, you want to identify the different characters. You change points of view. You're not only following Vincent Lindon's role. There are other people who give up on the strike. There are some people who decide to sign the package with the management, so you can understand the manager's point of view. You can understand the government's point of view. You really did focus on all points of view. We're constantly following the point of view of the character played by Vincent. However, all of the meetings that Vincent plays in, there are politicians there are management in there. The important thing for an objective picture was to give everybody's point of view, otherwise I'd have been shooting myself in the foot. It's just too easy to focus only on Vincent's character. Everybody had to have a constructed, intelligent message to convey. And there was a lot of intelligence around that table. The management there, the politicians are very, very intelligent people. But they read the world in a different way. I'm absolutely convinced that there are many management members who have to convey messages in which they do not believe anymore. There's one scene of a discussion at the Élysée Palace with the government. There's the CEO of the French group who is in charge of sacking 1,000 people due to a decision which was taken in Germany. That CEO in France is a man of power. He has less power, however, than the union member who is standing up for his survival. And it really is important to look at that juxtaposition. And I'm not saying this is what's going on in the film, but that's the kind of thing which can exist. Is this war lost at the very outset? Now, you're expressing a point of view, the point of view of the employees. This war is between the stronger and the weaker, and it's not lost by the stronger. However, there's resistance. The employees did not declare war. No, they declared resistance. There came an order, you're out of here. The workers said, no, we do not agree. They weren't at war. They weren't declaring war. They were resisting. So there's a war against those people who were employed. Well, the war against people who were employed, I think Warren Buffett summed it up quite nicely. I think recently we've seen Oxfam's figures. Well, the powerful work too. Managing other people is a job. So if you're asking if the weaker are declaring war against the stronger and have already lost that battle, well, the battle is never lost ahead of time. That's the first thing you hear in the film. The one who fights has a chance. If you don't fight, you've got no chance. That's what the film opens with. Yes, there is a class struggle. Victor Hugo said, those who live are those who fight. Thank you very much, Stéphane Brizé and Vincent Lindon, for coming in. Continue your battles. This film is to be seen in France right now. It's already been released. It's called At War in English, En Guerre in French, and it stars Vincent Lindon. You'll see.